You've been a Collie judge for 36 years.
I was approved in 1980. I applied.
I can add 36 years.
Collies and Shelties.
Okay, can you speak of the Collie quality from when you started? And here I would like you to go actually back to when you really got interested in conformation. The quality between that and what you're seeing today.
Well, I showed on the West Coast. That's a picture toward you, Jesse. And which was, and we had, so I didn't see East Coast dogs. We had East Coast dogs that came out, not just to be shown, but in pedigrees. Basically, Collies were generally smaller than what they are, because it was about the time the effects of changing the standard. The early standards called for dogs about 24, bitches about 22, penalized to the extent to which they appeared over or undersized. Well, of course, the Americans have a proclivity, if bigger is better. And so the dogs were creeping up. And so instead of breeding dogs to fit the standard, they decided to change the standard. So they added 2 inches, dogs 24 to 26, bitches 22 to 24. And when you add 2 inches, you don't just add 2 inches in one spot, you change everything. And like I said, I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about Black Douglas of Alstead being behind some of my dogs, and the Red Audacious Man, and they were 24-inch dogs. But at that time, now there were others that were bigger then too, but basically they were a smaller, somewhat smaller dog, probably a more flexible dog. And one of the things that I see today in dogs and is we have gone away. What you're seeing, the Collies, the neck should come down like this over the shoulders, the back, over the loin, and it should be a rounded loin. And over the rump for the tail. What you're seeing now is here's the head comes straight up off the back, the neck's like this. There's a straight line across here and a straight line down here. The dog goes like this instead of like this. And the curves are gone. And this is not just in the dogs you see around necessarily. This is in CCFA winners. The Collie is supposed to be a lithe, active dog, quick on its feet, the whole shooting match. And in lots of instances, we've got away with that, particularly in the males. Some of them are pretty big. And so, that's, I think, probably the biggest change I've seen. When I was getting involved with it out here, we didn't have specialty judges. We had some that were like Pickard, who was a Collie breeder, but he was an all-around judge as well as Collies. We had some of those, but we didn't get just specialty judges, period, coming and judging our shows, because there weren't a lot of specialties anyway. They were mostly all-breed shows. And of course, what we had to have in order to get the attention of those judges, we had to have a sound dog. Oh. I mean, they weren't pulling the heads back and skinning the ears back and all that drunky business. They were looking at the overall dog. So, like I said, the Collie has changed.